What's going on, guys? Mike over here at the Liberty Armory here in Houston, Texas, and I have a very special guest with us and also a close friend, my buddy Josh Hill.
What's happening?
What's up, buddy? From the Hill Law Firm. All his information is going to be below, so guys want to click the link. Retain My Man Services. He is probably the best at what we do, okay, or what he does. I'm sorry, but he's best at covering your ass. Needless to say. So, Josh, a couple of questions I want to ask you. So, if somebody gets into a situation where they have to pull their firearm in you, best advice you give.
So, I guess the first thing to do is to cover what self-defense is, right?
Okay.
Self-defense is if I'm afraid that somebody's going to hurt me or if somebody's going to do me bodily harm imminently, it's going to happen right away, I have the right to use force to prevent them from doing that. I don't have to wait for you to hit me before I can hit you. Deadly force, same thing, except I have to fear that I am going to be permanently disfigured or killed during the process of whatever assault you're putting on me. So I can shoot you dead first. I don't have to wait for you to shoot at me, right? And everything has to be reasonable and proportionate. The problem is, what a lot of people don't get is you may be able to use your firearm. There may be a lawful reason to use your firearm. Doesn't necessarily mean it's the ethical or moral thing to do or the right thing to do. Also means you may have bigger headaches than you ever anticipated. If you're ever in a situation where, look, I'm going to die, I need to do this, you do it. And you deal with whatever fallout comes. But sometimes people want to act like a hero, pull their gun a little bit earlier than necessary. And they may lawfully be capable of doing so, but if they use their weapon and they kill the other person, maim him, whatever, they could be looking at all kinds of stuff they don't want to deal with, having to pay for lawyers down the road and having their whole life disrupted.
And see, I mean, obviously you dealt with this before, but in knowing all this information, everything you got to take into consideration, when somebody pulls their firearm to either protect themselves or someone else, there's a lot of responsibility that comes along with every small step you take in doing that, and it just happens so fast.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, it's just for somebody to actually sit there and think, well, wait, but at the same time, somebody's getting shot, and another person got shot, and your wife is next, and you're standing next to them. So, or your children is, they're right there. I mean, God, it's just a lot to take in. So, in that situation, it happens, right? Police show up. What do you do?
Anytime the police show up and you're not 100% sure if you're being looked at as a witness or possibly being charged as a criminal defendant, best advice I could usually tell people is no matter what, the only words out of your mouth are, I am not talking without my lawyer present, period. That preserves your rights. It affords you the opportunity to, then you can go and talk to a lawyer and make sure that you're saying things in a way that are not going to come back to bite you later. I'm not saying you're going to manufacture testimony. I'm not saying you're going to make things up, but sometimes it's better to reflect, choose your words wisely, because if you're going to say something about why you had to shoot and kill somebody, in the moment, you're pretty flustered, emotions are high, and you don't want to say something that's misconstrued or comes across the wrong way. Likewise, if you do request an attorney, certain rights attach, and then the police can't continue to question you. It basically shuts it down where you then get to protect your rights and make sure that you're not putting yourself in a bad position.
Okay, so what are they looking at and what are they subjecting themselves as far as charges?
So it could be a number of different charges. Aggravated assault, if you threaten somebody with your weapon or you shoot them and injure them, all the way up to murder. Murder is a first-degree felony. That's anywhere from 5 years to life in prison. That's assuming you don't have any prior criminal history. And you're not eligible for probation. There's no probation on a murder charge. So all the lawyers' fees and all that other stuff aside, you could be facing life in prison if you made the wrong decision when you pulled your firearm and used it.
Wow. In a situation like that, what distance, and this is just so that way you can, if people are not thinking about this, what distance is safe for you to be able to use that without the question of were you able to retreat?
So in Texas, there's no duty to retreat, so you're able to defend yourself. You don't have to attempt to retreat. However, what's legal and what's common sense and smart in the long run may be two different things. If you really are in a situation where it's at the point of no return, you know that there's a high likelihood you're going to get injured, maimed, or killed, you do what you have to do and you ask questions later. If there is a reasonable way that you can get out of the situation where you're not subjecting yourself to more harm or more potential that you're going to get shot, killed, whatever, if there's a way out of it without using deadly force, that's usually the best way to go. Another thing that people don't think about, lawyers' fees, prison time, all that stuff aside, even if you're 100% justified in using deadly force, you shoot and kill somebody that was out to hurt you, you're still going to have that on your soul, on your conscience. You're
Right.
going to have to rehear what it sounds like when somebody's dying in front of you that you caused, and that's not something that a lot of people psychologically are going to want to deal with. So if it's something you can get away from, get away from it. If you can't, do what you got to do.
Awesome. And in your professional opinion, okay, somebody's doing wrong, you know, somebody says, hey, you know what, the guy decided to be a hero. He was a concealed carrier, he decided to pull his gun and take action. What's your professional advice? Do you be the hero or do you turn the cheek and walk away and play it safe?
So you don't have a duty to protect others, but the laws of self-defense, including deadly force, say that if you have the right to use self-defense, and if you have the right to use deadly force to defend yourself, then I also have the right to defend you using the same degree of force. So if somebody's got a gun to your head and they're about to pull the trigger, I can shoot them dead. That's kind of a moral and ethical question that everybody's going to have to ask themselves.
Right.
What do they want to do? But legally, if I fear that you or somebody else's life is imminently in danger, and the only way to prevent them from dying, getting shot, whatever, is to draw a weapon and kill the attacker, legally I can do that.
You say you are in the right, okay. A legal, clean, self-defense situation where you did put the threat down. What is somebody looking at like that, as far as, you know, cost of, you know, retaining counsel? I mean,
Well, it can depend. In a normal case where maybe they don't know that it's a clean-cut case of self-defense, you're going to get charged, and then you're going to have to post a bond. That could be thousands of dollars that you're paying to a bail bonding company, or if you want to come up with a humongous cash bond, you can pay directly to the county and get it back when your case is over. You're going to have to hire a lawyer, and if you're looking at a case where there's a fatality involved, we're talking tens of thousands of dollars, if not hundreds, to defend somebody all the way through potential trial. Also have to think, if the family of the deceased wants to file a wrongful death type of lawsuit against you, you got to defend against that. You're going to have a civil lawyer to help with that. And you may lawfully be able to use self-defense or kill somebody on the criminal side, but you still may be liable for civil damages and be out a lot. So it could cost an arm and a leg. It could cost tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars to defend.
it's still a lot better than saying the wrong thing in the line of
Absolutely.
questioning and end up spending your life in prison, correct?
Absolutely. A lot of people balk at hearing that type of fee structure, that type of money, but then they don't realize the other side is spending years to the rest of their life in prison. A lot of people also are concerned, well, this lawyer says he costs this much, this other lawyer says he costs so much more. I've actually written about that, and you can see that on my blog, on my website. Hiring a cheap lawyer usually is going to cost you a lot more in the long term.
Right. Pay for what you get.
Yeah. It's going to cost you monetarily and possibly years of your life behind bars. So,
And, I mean, I know we got your information at the bottom of the screen coming up, but don't you have an app for people? to
yes,
sign up?
yes we do.
How do they look it up under their?
On Android or on the Apple Store under Hill Law Firm.
Awesome. If you got more questions, go to his website, hit the phone number, it's going to be at the bottom of the page.
My
The Hill
pleasure.
Law Firm, make sure you check them out. The link, the phone number, the website is below. If you have any more questions, please reach out. It's better to cover your own ass than to actually assume, and then you're stuck, okay? Mike at the Liberty Armory, thanks a lot, guys. Take care.